conversation. And here in studio with me is Mwalimu Sylvester Gakumu, former ambassador to Kenya to Congo, and he was also a head teacher for about 30 years. We'll be tapping into his experience there. But let's begin first with Moses Nturima, who is the Deputy Secretary General from the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers. He is joining us live from Kisii County. Mr. Nturima, we've already had the stand of the Kenya National Union of Teachers saying there needs to be more consultation before the rollout of the new education system. Where does KNUT stand on this matter?
No, we have been involved in this process since 2012 when Kibaki was the president. He appointed Douglas Othiambo to spearhead the task force on alignment of education sector to the constitution. KNUT was there. And we took about 2 years to come up with a report, which was taken ahead and discussed at the National Conference on Education. And of course, stakeholders have been involved all along. So for us as KNUT, we believe that we cannot consult forever, and it is the high time this curriculum now is rolled out. But the only issue that we have is that teachers are not ready. So it is upon the ministry to ensure that teachers are kept in readiness so that they are able to execute the curriculum.
All right. What level of teachers would you say are not ready? Because according to the director, Julius Joan of the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, the curriculum was not being hurried, but being implemented in phases, and they would begin with the phase they're implementing first, and that is lower primary level. So that means teachers, especially members of KNUT themselves, would not have gotten to the phase of implementation just yet. Would you still think, with that being said, the process is still being hurried?
We are not saying that the process has been hurried. We are saying that the most critical component of any curriculum is the teaching component. And if the teachers are not ready, it means that the curriculum implementation is likely to collapse from the word go. So we are asking the ministry to ensure that teachers are ready and they are trained, and we have enough teachers as from next year. Teachers are ready for this. And they are only saying that we need to be trained, we need to be orientated on the new curriculum. Because you cannot bring a new item in school and you give the teachers. It will be a failure, it will be a global.
All right, and let's speak then to Mwalimu Sylvester Gakumu. Many thanks for joining us in studio, Mwalimu. Many have, of course, lauded the move to have a new education curriculum in the country, saying this would definitely uplift education standards. But what would you say are the setbacks that are seeing some sharp criticisms from the teachers' unions themselves?
Thank you. One, education is a very vital thing in a country, because education is the backbone to economic development, cultural development, political development, because people have to, educated people are able to make rational decisions.
Right.
So the move, to me, is a very noble move. And the government should be supported in this move.
All right, but we're seeing teachers' unions, they're saying we are not ready as a country. Teachers themselves are not ready. These are their union officials speaking on their behalf. Had a report by Francis Mtalaki. There are some teachers are saying that there are schools that don't even have electricity to support this rather digitally savvy new curriculum. The government had conducted a pilot study of this new curriculum in selected private and government schools, but the report or the findings of that study have not been released yet. Would you then blame the country, teachers and parents alike, for being a bit skeptical? Have we done right in terms of communication from the government on what the findings of the pilot study were?
I will not blame the parents. I will also not blame the teachers. One, there has been consultations all around. And everything is always under improvement. So the necessary consultations that may not have been done, the training that may not have been done, there is still there is room for that training to be done. So that because we cannot keep on delaying what we think is vital,
right. in the country.
Yes.
Let me just pose this to Mr. Nthurima for a moment, because even as we speak matters, to speak about teachers not being ready, Julius Joan, again, director of the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, has already said that there will be a reinduction of teachers in this process beginning Monday this month, up until the 23rd, I believe. Again, just readying teachers in preparation for the rollout of the new curriculum. What other issues would KNUT have other than saying teachers are not ready? And will this new reinduction perhaps settle the concerns that are coming out of KNUT?
Yes, apart from the induction of the teachers, we are also looking at a situation where we have 6 classes in the secondary sector, and initially we have under 4 classes, and we didn't have enough teachers. So we are looking forward for the ministry to avail money to employ more teachers next year, and teachers, not less than 60,000 teachers, should be employed by January this year. We are not seeing that. We have not seen that budget. So we are really worried whether who will be teaching the new subjects. A number of subjects are going to be introduced, and the teachers are here prepared. That is what we are saying.
All right. A lot of things came out from the head teachers' annual conference there. Among them was a raft of new rules that teachers have also been opposed to. Requirements to have master's degrees, for example, something teachers have also been opposed to. Is this resistance, so to speak, to the implementation of the 2633 system perhaps a move by teachers to hide behind that, to avoid the other rules that have been brought out by the Ministry of Education?
For us as KNUT, we are not against higher qualifications for any positions, but we are saying that as the ministry and the TSC implements the policy they are talking about, it must be in strict conformity with the agreements that we have signed with them. Because a P1 has a legitimate expectation that he will progress through the curriculum, through the job, and they become a headmaster of a primary school. So when you start saying now you want graduates, we have not sat down to agree on that. So I think anything that the ministry and the TSC is enacting must be in strict conformity with the agreement, the regulations, the statutes, and the constitution. For us as KNUT, we are not against. What we are saying is that we need to sit down and agree on the terms and conditions of such grades, because we don't have a CBA for a master's, we don't have a CBA for PhD, despite the fact that we have them in our classrooms. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right, just one more question, Mr. Nthurima. The consultations over the new education system have been going on over the past 15 years or so. There has been massive consultations with education stakeholders. Why has it taken so long for teachers' unions to air these concerns? Why air them at the last minute when the implementation is expected to begin?
No, we have been telling them that for us to implement this curriculum, there is a need that we have enough teachers, we have enough training, because without that one, this rollout is going to be a failure from the word go. Mm-hmm. It's not that we are against the implementation of the curriculum. We proposed a long time ago that we need to change from 844 to the new system, because that is where we are zeroing down on the child's ability, and we want to create create jobs for our children from the environment.
All right.
And this curriculum should have been rolled yesterday. But some of these things, like teachers are not there, they are not trained, we are worried. We are only worried as stakeholders.
All right. Mr. Gakumu, taking a look at some of the concerns teachers are giving, they're talking about infrastructure, books, capacity, and capacity building for teachers as well to implement education reforms in the country. Is that a gap that needs to be addressed before the rollout?
I concur that there is need for the infrastructure to be put up. Mm-hmm. There is also need to have adequate teachers to handle this, the human resource. Now, the government is saying that They are committed to employ more teachers. They are committed to supply textbooks to schools. They are committed to supply their laptops and so on. So I think as far as the goodwill from the government is concerned, is already a very positive sign.
Right.
Now, when it comes to the grades of the teachers, I think and who becomes a principal and who becomes a deputy principal. Now, the authority of a teacher comes from the knowledge that he has. It's when you're a doctor, people trust you because of the knowledge that you have. So when we have hand teachers required to have masters, it's not going to be done overnight, or our deputy required to have a bachelor's degree. You know, this is going to give the kids the confidence, the parents, we have the confidence, and even the teachers and who serve under these head teachers and the principals will also have confidence that they have somebody reading who has the necessary exposure.
Right, right. And more importantly, we have about 28,000 primary schools in the country. And this system will, of course, begin from the lower level. But we had somebody there, the report by Francis Tulaki there, saying not all the 28,000 schools are connected to the electric grid, and not all of them have the infrastructure to support the same. Again, is this something the government needs to come out clear on before embarking on this implementation?
I concur. They need to come out clearly on this. Plus, there are also alternative means of, for example, we have some of these gadgets that they can be solar powered and so on. So as long as there is the commitment from the government, I think it's not necessary to delay it longer when they feel that the time has come.
The time has come. Yeah. All right, let's speak to Mr. Nthirima. I don't know if you've been following the new pilot program that has been carried out on the new 2633 education system. The report has not come out public yet, but what would you say from your observation would be the pros and cons of this system?
We have not really followed what has been going on the ground. But we believe that when the report is out, it will be positive, because those who are initially trained are very positive about the program, the curriculum. And I don't see a lot of challenges about the initial report. But what we are saying is that there is need for more teachers, there is need for, capacity building, and it to be done in 2 weeks, and then you tell the teachers, go to class and implement the new curriculum. We need continuous improvement, training and induction courses for the teachers.
All right, and just as the government has promised, and free secondary school education, and Mr. Gakumi here mentions the government has pledged its commitment to supply textbooks to these schools. The government has pledged its commitment to continue inducting teachers. The government has pledged its commitment, to continue bettering the implementation of this system. Is that enough for the teachers' unions, that goodwill that has already been expressed by the government? They have also already expressed the need to hire more teachers, and they said they'll be hiring about 60,000 teachers. Will that be sufficient to fill the gap that teachers are complaining about?
Hello? Okay, we need about 100,000 teachers in the country, and we believe that the government needs to continue building up the critical mass of teachers as we progress with the implementation of the curriculum. For other infrastructure, I believe the government has got the capacity, but I don't think they have a will to do this, because we have not seen much on the ground being done. So we want to see much more being done by the government in terms of building of classes, equipping computer laboratories, and ensuring that the schools are in a situation that the children can utilize those schools. Because we have seen a situation where children are learning from under trees, others are sitting on the stones. And yet now we are hearing that the government is going to put infrastructure, what. So we are saying that we need to see, action following those pronouncements by the government.
All right, so what you're also saying, Mr. Thrima, is that the government is not being honest when it says that all the 28,000 primary schools across the country are connected to the national electric grid.
No, they are not being honest, because you cannot, connect, electricity on branches of trees. We need to see buildings, and of course, standard buildings. Mm-hmm. Look at some situations, and they are deplorable, where the children are learning from.
All right, let's come to you, Mr. Gakumu, here in studio. So concerns have been raised, and of course, the issues of infrastructure would be very important. Do you feel that we're rushing into this because of perhaps political duress, and that duress to fulfill political promises as well?
Let me say that as a Kenyan, I would want to see what is the best for our children. And one of the basic issues to do with education is that children should have equal opportunities. Kenyan children, like in every other part of the world, people are born, are not born equal. But these people have equal rights. So when it comes to putting the necessary infrastructure all over, right, so that we have the child in Northo, now the child in Kwale, and the child in Nairobi getting equal opportunities. Right. I think this is what we need to be looking at and support. And it cannot be achieved if people do not agree to work together, right, so that this thing is achieved. I remember when 844 was being introduced, I was one of the SEP tutors for the mathematics. And people still complained that it was being rushed. But one of the things that it really achieved was that originally the children from ordinary homes would not continue to university after Form 4. They would not go to Form 5 and 6. But the 844 came to bring that gap so that you have more or less equal opportunity, right, to go to the university. Yeah. All right,
and I'll come back to you in just a moment. Just a quick question, Mr. Thrima. As we speak, how would you explain the fact that during the annual head teachers conference in Mombasa, head teachers seemingly were in agreement that there needs to be more consultation before the implementation of the new curriculum, but then they have now differed and changed tune, saying this curriculum will uplift education standards. What is to account, what is to blame for this rift within the teachers' unions themselves?
I think, in the first place, I would like to see that one of the challenges of curriculum implementation is what we call resistance to the curriculum. As my brother said, curriculum is always resistant, and I think what is happening within the heads, there is a bit of ignorance of this curriculum. What is this curriculum? Because teachers have not been, being the consumers of the same, have not been inducted to know what is this and how it will be done. And I think that is the reason why heads are saying that we are not against this implementation, we are against this, because the teachers have not, it has not been brought before the teachers to see what is this animal called the new curriculum. So I think the government must move with speed to ensure that the teachers are aware of what is this curriculum the government is talking about, because it has been in the boardrooms of consultations. It has been in the boardrooms of consultations, and the teachers out there are wondering, what is this curriculum? So I think that is the major, shift when teachers are talking.
All right, I have have personally attended some of these conferences, Mr. Nthrima, and some of the stakeholders in these conferences are teachers union officials themselves, the likes of Wilson Sossion, the likes of Akelo Misori, people I have personally seen in these conferences. But let's perhaps make it a bit more clear. What are teachers asking for? You've mentioned the need for 100,000 new teachers in the system. What else specifically needs to be consulted about?
Yes. We are not asking the government to consult us over employment of teachers. We are only telling them, hey, look here, teachers are not enough. And when we say that as KNUT, we are not against the implementation of the curriculum. It should have been implemented yesterday. But then we are questioning the government. These imperatives of teachers, bring more teachers into schools so that this thing becomes a success from the word go. That is what we stand for as KNUT. So we should not be seen as speaking from both sides of the mouth. For us, we support the curriculum in total, but we are saying that there are some specifics which the government is not doing.
All right.
And they must do it before the rollout of this curriculum.
Okay. Like he says, public participation in policy making is a key tenet, especially of the Kenyan 2010 Constitution. And part of public participation is not only including the teachers' unions themselves, but also making public the report, the findings on the pilot system that was carried out. Would it then be a good idea for the government to perhaps employ the gap that is needed for teachers first before commencing on the rollout itself?
I think there is that need, that there is that openness. When if it is research that has been done, let people know the results. And when the results are known, because like now currently, the TSC concurs that there are not enough teachers.
Right.
The government is aware that there are not enough teachers. Parents are also aware that there are not enough teachers, but they would want to have enough teachers. But now, we may not be in a position to perhaps employ the 90, the government may be in a position to employ the 90,000 or the 100,000 at once. But the goodwill is there because it's being done progressively. And so we should not have the skepticism. I think we should have the optimism that really we are, because we agree this is a new thing coming up, we should all be optimistic that we are going to succeed. Right. Because if we cannot go to something when we think that we are not going to succeed. Because I believe it is really an open idea and it's going to succeed.
And you've been a stakeholder in the education sector for a long time. You've been a head teacher for 30 years as well.
I was a head teacher for 15 years.
15 years.
Plus.
All right. 15 years plus. That's a quite a long time, and being in the education sector for decades. What, even as the concerns over the implementation of the system continue, we've all agreed that it is a good move for the country in matters education. But what really is going to come out of this 263 education system? Why should we have the goodwill, even as a nation, to support its implementation as early as January 2018?
One thing is, that's a system that's also being aligned, not only to not only to what is happening in East Africa, but a curriculum that is aligned to what is happening globally.
Right.
Because the world has become a global village, and we need people to adapt so that we are not left behind.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Nthrima, before we take a short break, let me just come to you in terms of what you would like to say to education stakeholders, and what kind of consultation then, or under what framework would teachers want this consultation carried out?
What I would like to see is that the government is employing more teachers to reduce the shortage in our schools, and the teachers are trained, and the teachers are brought to consume the reports so that they stop creating contradictions when they are speaking. That is the only way we shall be able to move, because teachers are very critical in the implementation of the curriculum. We have not started asking the government today to employ teachers. Even before the rollout of this curriculum, we were telling them we don't have enough teachers. So I think for me, what we want to tell the public and the government is that we need more teachers to make this curriculum a success.
Again, Mr. Nthrima, the government has already promised that they will be employing new teachers. Isn't that already the goodwill that has been expressed by the government?
You know, we are used to things being done on the mouth on the part of the government, but we hope the government is going to live to the expectations of the public, to live to the expectations of this curriculum by employing more teachers.
It was a promise they made.
We are still very skeptical about what the...
Go ahead.
It's just a promise. We have not seen any tangible step being made by the government to move, because, to employ teachers, because we have not seen the budget.
All right. It was a promise they also made back in 2013, employing teachers about to the tune of about 40,000, I believe. Did they achieve that promise in their first time in office?
Yes. Please ask that question again.
The Jubilee administration had already promised in 2013 that they would hire new teachers in their first time in office, something to the tune of 40,000 new teachers in the education sector. Have they fulfilled that promise?
I don't think they have done it, because they have been doing more replacement than employment. Because you hear we are going to employ 5,000 this year, but mostly those teachers are just replacements. So I think we have been digging a hole and filling another one with the same soil.
All right, so many concerns here are being raised in the education sector. Moses Nthrima is joining us live from Kisii County. Is the Deputy Secretary General of the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers. Here in studio, I have Mwalimu Sylvester Gakumu, former ambassador of Kenya to Congo, a man who's also been a stakeholder in the education sector, also having experience as a head teacher. We are discussing setbacks of the new 2633 education curriculum in the country and the concerns of its implementation in January 2018. This is News Center on KTN News, where you get the whole story. Take a short commercial.